Hello students, welcome to today's lecture. So today we will explore vector algebra, NCERT section 10.6.3, examples 22 to 25. So let us start. This is disclaimer. So today we will study NCERT section 10.6.3 vector or cross product of two vectors, right? After that, we will look at examples 22 to 25. So let's start. The first NCERT section 10.6.3 vector or cross product of two vectors. So this operation helps us find a new vector that is perpendicular to two given vectors. Let's see how it's defined and what properties it has. So definition: we have two non-zero vectors A and B. Their product is written as A cross B. The formula is A cross B is equal to magnitude of A into magnitude of B into sine theta n cap. Here, magnitude of A and magnitude of B are the magnitudes of the two vectors. Theta is the angle between them, and n cap is the unit vector perpendicular to both A vector and B vector, right? This formula tells us both the size and the direction of new vector. Now the angle theta is the angle between the vectors A vector and B vector, you can see in figure, and it ranges from 0 to pi, right? It ranges from 0 to pi or 0 to 180 degree, simply you can say. The n cap is a unit vector, which means it has a length of 1 and it points perpendicular to the plane formed by the A vector and B vector, okay? But how do we know which way n hat points, right? The direction of n hat is determined by something that called right hand screw rule. This rule helps us figure out the orientation of the resulting vector product, okay? So let's explain right hand screw rule. If you take your right hand and curl your fingers from vector A towards vector B, moving through the smaller angle between them, your thumb will point in the direction of n hat. This is the direction of the vector product A cross B. It's a handy way to remember which way the new vector points. So this operation helps us find a new vector that is perpendicular to the two given vectors, okay? Let's see how it's defined and what properties it has. So finally, let's consider a special case. If either A vector or B vector is zero vector, then their vector product A cross B is also zero. This is because the magnitude of the zero vector is zero, right? This is because the magnitude of the zero vector is zero. So the whole point becomes zero, right? This wraps up our introduction to the vector product, okay? So let's see the properties of vector product now, also known as the cross product in vector algebra. We will look at how vector interact when we use this operation, right? And what special rules and results come from it. Let's go through each property step by step. So first, let's note that when we take the cross product of two vectors written as A cross B, the result is itself a vector, okay? This means the answer has both magnitude and direction, not just a number, right? So A cross B gives us a new vector. It is not a scalar, okay? Right. Now, if let's consider when cross product of two non-zero vector is the zero vector. If A vector and B vector are both non-zero, then A vector cross B vector equals the zero vector if and only if A vector and B vector are parallel or collinear. In other words, if A vector cross B vector is equal to 0, if and only if A vector is parallel to B vector. This is a key property that helps us check if two vectors point in the same or exactly opposite directions, right? Now let's see what happens when the angle between two vectors is 90 degree or pi by 2 radians. In this case, the cross product A vector cross B vector has a magnitude equal to the product of the magnitudes of A vector and B vector. So if theta is equal to pi by 2, then A vector cross B vector will be equal to magnitude of A vector into magnitude of B vector. Okay, this is the maximum possible value for the cross product of two vectors. So let's talk about the cross product for the standard unit vectors I cap, j cap, and k cap. These are mutually perpendicular unit vectors along x, y, and z axis. We will see how their cross product behave, and this is often shown in the diagram for clarity. You can see the diagram. Here is the diagram showing the unit vectors I cap, j cap, k cap. Notice how each vector points along a different axis and they all are perpendicular to each other, right? So the visual helps us understand the relationship between their cross product. Now let's look at the results of taking the cross product of each unit vector with itself. We have I cap cross I cap is equal to j cap cross j cap is equal to k cap cross k cap, and it is equal to 0, right? This means that the cross product of any unit vector with itself is always the 0 vector, right? Because the angle between them is 0 and sine 0 is equal to 0, right? Finally, let's see the cross product between different unit vectors. We have I cap cross j cap is equal to k cap, j cap cross k cap is equal to I cap, and k cap cross I cap is equal to j cap. These results show the cyclic nature of the cross product of unit vectors, and the direction follows the right hand rule, right? Remember the order matters. Switching the order will change the sign of the result, right? This wraps up the key properties of the vector product. Okay. So part 5th, we have j cap cross I cap is equal to minus k cap, right? And k cap cross j cap is equal to minus I cap, and I cap cross k cap is equal to minus j cap, right? Remember, the order matters in the cross product, right? Switching the order changes the sign. These results show the anti-clockwise relationship between the unit vectors and are fundamental when working with the vector products. Okay. So part 6, in terms of vector product, the angle between two vectors A vector and B vector may be given as sin theta is equal to magnitude of A vector cross B vector upon magnitude of A vector into magnitude of B vector. Okay. Part 7, for any two vectors A vector and B vector, A vector cross B vector will be equal to minus of B vector cross A vector, right? A vector cross B vector will be equal to minus of B vector cross A vector. Okay, right? So part 8, area of triangle. If we have two vectors representing the sides of a triangle that meet at one vertex, we can use the vector product to find the area, right? This is a very useful geometric application of the cross product. So if A vector and B vector represents two sides of a triangle that meet at a common point, then the area of the triangle is given by 1/2 times the magnitude of cross product of A vector and B vector, right? In plain terms, the formula is area is equal to 1/2 into magnitude of A vector cross B vector, right? Okay. Let's look at this visually. In the diagram, you can see a triangle with sides represented by vectors A vector and B vector. The area we are interested in is basically the space inside this triangle. Okay. The figure helps us connect the formula to the actual shape. So area of triangle ABC will be equal to 1/2 AB vector cross CD vector, right? Or AB 1/2 AB into CD, right? Where AB is the length of one side and CD is the height drawn from the opposite vertex to that side. Okay. But AB vector is basically B vector, and CD vector is basically magnitude of A vector sine theta, right? CD vector is basically magnitude of A vector sine theta. Thus, area of triangle ABC will be 1 by 2 magnitude of B vector into magnitude of A vector into sin theta, right? Okay. Hence, we can say that, hence we can summarize the area of triangle formed by the vectors A vector and B vector is basically 1 by 2 into magnitude of A vector cross B vector, right? So this shows how the cross product gives us a direct way to calculate the area using vectors, okay? Right. Hope it's clear to you all. Right. Let's move to the next part. Now, let's focus on the property number 9, the area of a parallelogram. This property uses the vector product to calculate the area found by the two vectors representing the sides of the parallelogram, right? So, if A vector and B vector represents the adjacent sides of a parallelogram, then its area is given by magnitude of A vector cross B vector, right? You can see in the figure. We can see that the parallelogram formed by the vectors A vector and B vector. The diagram helps us visualize how the sides and the angles relate to the area. So area of parallelogram ABCD will be equal to AB vector cross area of parallelogram ABCD will be AB into DE, right? Area of parallelogram ABCD will be equal to AB into DE, right? Okay. But AB is equal to magnitude of B vector, right? And DE is equal to magnitude of A vector sin theta, right? But AB is equal to magnitude of B vector. AB is equal to magnitude of B vector, and DE is equal to magnitude of A vector sin theta, right? Thus, the area of the parallelogram ABCD will be equal to magnitude of B vector into magnitude of A vector sin theta, right? Okay. Hence, to summarize, the area of parallelogram ABCD is exactly equal to the magnitude of the cross product of the A vector and B vector, right? So, the area is equal to magnitude of A vector cross B vector. Okay. Hope it's clear to all. So, part 10, distributivity of vector product over addition. So, let's look at the property number 10, which is distributivity of the vector product over addition. This property tells us how the cross product interacts with the vector addition, and it's a key rule when working with the multiple vector at once. So suppose we have three vectors, A vector, B vector, and C vector, and a scalar value lambda. This property applies to any vectors and any scalar. So it's very general, right? We will see how the cross product distributes over addition and how it behaves with a scalar multiplication, right? So let's see how the cross product distributes over addition. The equation A vector cross B vector plus C vector will be equal to A vector cross B vector plus A vector cross C vector, right? This means if we add two vectors B vector and C vector first, then take the cross product with A, right? It's the same as taking the cross product with A vector with B vector, right? And A vector with C vector, and then adding the results, right? Notice how the cross product spreads out over the addition inside the bracket. Next, part 2, lambda times A vector cross B vector will be equal to lambda A vector cross B vector, right? And it will be equal to A vector cross lambda B vector, right? This means multiplying the cross product by a scalar lambda is the same as multiplying either of the vectors by lambda before taking the cross product, right? This property is useful when scaling vectors in calculations, right? To summarize, these distributives and scalar properties make vector calculations much more flexible and manageable, right? Now, let's see vector product in determinant form, right? So, how can we represent vector product or cross product in determinant form? This is a fundamental concept in vector algebra. So, let's start by considering two vectors, A vector and B vector, each written in component form. A vector is A1 I cap plus A2 j cap plus A3 k cap, and B vector is basically B1 I cap plus b2 j cap and b3 k cap, right? Clear? Here I cap, j cap and k cap are basically unit vectors along x, y and z axis. So we are going to find a cross product of these two vectors, okay? So the cross product of a vector and b vector can be written as the determinant of the a vector and b vector in 3 into 3 matrix, right? The first row contains the unit vectors I cap, j cap and k cap. The second row contains the components of vectors a1, a2, a3, and the third row contains the components of the vector b, which is b1, b2, b3. So the determinant looks like a vector cross b vector will be equal to determinant of I cap, j cap, k cap, a1, a2, a3, b1, b2, b3, right? So this determinant gives us a symmetric way to calculate the cross product, okay? So let's break down the what this determinant actually means. We will expand it step by step to see how the cross product formula is derived from the component forms of the vector. This will help us understand why the determinant method works. Right, so we have a vector cross b vector will be equal to a1 I cap plus a2 j cap plus a3 k cap cross b1 I cap plus b2 j cap plus b3 k cap, right? So it will be a1 b1 into I cap cross I cap plus a1 b2 into I cap cross j cap plus a1 b3 into I cap cross k cap plus a2 b1 into j cap cross I cap plus a2 b2 into j cap cross j cap plus a2 b3 j cap cross k cap plus a3 b1 k cap cross I cap plus a3 b2 k cap cross j cap plus a3 b3 k cap cross k cap, okay? So next we will simplify by using the properties of the cross product. So a1 b2 I cap cross j cap minus a1 b3 k cap cross I cap minus a2 b1 I cap cross j cap plus a2 b3 j cap cross k cap plus a3 b1 k cap cross I cap minus a3 b2 j cap cross k cap, okay? As I cap cross I cap is equal to j cap cross j cap is equal to k cap cross k cap is equal to 0, and I cap cross k cap is equal to minus k cap cross I cap, and j cap cross I cap is equal to minus I cap cross j cap, and k cap cross j cap is equal to minus j cap cross k cap, right? These properties are essential for simplifying the cross product and are based on the orientations of these axes in three-dimensional spaces, right? So which after simplification will be equal to a1 b2 k cap minus a1 b3 j cap minus a2 b1 k cap plus a2 b3 I cap plus a3 b1 j cap minus a3 b2 I cap, okay? Right. Now let's go through an explanation of how the vector product works, right? So the cross product of two vectors results in new vector that is perpendicular to the both original vectors, okay? So this operation is especially useful in various parts of the science, right? When we need to find the directions such as torque or rotational force in physics, right? So as I cap cross j cap is equal to k cap, and j cap cross k cap is equal to I cap, and k cap cross I cap is equal to j cap. So a vector cross b vector will be equal to a2 b3 minus a3 b2 I cap minus a1 b3 minus a3 b1 j cap plus a1 b2 minus a2 b1 k cap, okay? Which is equal to determinant of I cap, j cap, k cap, a1, a2, a3, b1, b2, b3. Right, determinant of I cap, j cap, k cap, a1, a2, a3, b1, b2, b3, okay? Hence, a vector cross b vector is equal to, hence a vector cross b vector will be equal to determinant of I cap, j cap, k cap, a1, a2, a3 and b1, b2, b3, right? A vector cross b vector is equal to determinant of I cap, j cap, k cap, a1, a2, a3, b1, b2, b3, right? So this determinant form is a powerful tool for quickly finding the vector product in vector algebra, right? Okay. So hope it's clear to all till now. Now NCERT section 10.6.3 example 22. The question asks us to find the magnitude of a cross product written as magnitude of A cross B, where A vector is 2 I cap plus j cap plus 3k cap, and b vector is equal to 3 I cap plus 5 j cap minus 2k cap. Notice that I cap, j cap, and k cap are the unit vectors along x, y, and z axis respectively, right? Okay, so let's see how can we solve this. Let's write down the vectors given in the problem. Here vector A is 2 I cap plus j cap plus 3k cap. Vector B is 3 I cap plus 5 j cap minus 2k cap, right? And we need to find the magnitude of cross product of A vector and B vector written as magnitude of A vector cross B vector, right? The cross product gives us new vector that is perpendicular to both A vector and B vector, and its magnitude tells us the area of the parallelogram formed by these two vectors, okay? Now using if A vector is equal to A1 I cap plus A2 j cap plus A3 k cap, and B vector is equal to B1 I cap plus B2 j cap plus B3 k cap, then A vector cross B vector will be equal to magnitude of determinant of I cap, j cap, k cap, A1, A2, A3, and B1, B2, B3, right? This method helps us systematically find each component of the resulting vector, okay? Therefore, A vector cross B vector will be equal to determinant of I cap, j cap, k cap, 2, 1, 3, and 3, 5, minus 2. So let's expand the determinant. So it will be I cap into minus 2 minus 15 minus of minus 4 minus 9 j cap plus 10 minus 3 k cap, which after solving it will be minus 17 I cap plus 13 j cap plus 7 k cap, right? Hence, finally, to find the magnitude of the cross product, we use the formula magnitude equals the square root of the sum of the squares of each component. So magnitude of A vector cross B vector will be equal to square root of minus 17 square plus 13 square plus 7 square, which is equal to root over 507, right? So this value represents the area of the parallelogram formed by the vectors A vector and B vector, right? And it's our final answer. Clear? Got it? Hope it's clear to all. Next is NCERT section 10.6.3 example 23. So look at these examples from the vector. We are asked to find a unit vector that is perpendicular to both the vectors A vector plus B vector and A vector minus B vector. Here the vectors, here A vector is basically I cap plus j cap plus k cap, and B vector is equal to I cap plus 2 j cap plus 3 k cap, right? So you can remember I cap, j cap, and k cap are basically unit vectors along x, y, and z axis. So we will need to use the concept of the cross product to find a vector perpendicular to the both given vectors, right? So let's study to solve this. How can we solve this? The question asks us basically to find a vector that is perpendicular to each of the given vectors A vector plus B vector and A vector minus B vector. Here A vector and B vector are given. Therefore, what will be, let's add and subtract the vectors. A vector plus B vector will be equal to I cap plus A vector plus B vector will be equal to 2 I cap plus 3 j cap plus 4 k cap, right? It is I cap plus j cap plus 2 j cap plus k cap plus 3 k cap. And A vector minus B vector will be equal to I cap plus j cap minus 2 j cap plus k cap minus 3 k cap, which will be equal to minus j cap minus 2 k cap, right? Which simplifies to 0 I cap minus 1 j cap minus 2 k cap, or we can say minus j cap minus 2 k cap, right? Now to find vector perpendicular to both A vector plus B vector and A vector minus B vector, we use the cross product, right? The cross product of two vectors gives a third vector that is perpendicular to the both, right? So we need to calculate A vector plus B vector cross A vector minus B vector, right? So let's set up the cross product using the determinant method. We write the matrix as A vector plus B vector cross A vector minus B vector will be equal to determinant value of I cap, j cap, k cap, 2, 3, 4, and 0, minus 1, minus 2, which after solving we will get minus 2 I cap plus 4 j cap minus 2 k cap, which is equal to C vector, right? Let's see. Let's assume this as C vector, which will be equal to minus 2 I cap plus 4 j cap minus 2 k cap, right? So magnitude of C vector will be equal to root over 4 plus 16 plus 4, which is equal to root 24, which after solving will be equal to 2 root 6, right? 2 root 6. Therefore, the required unit vector To get the unit vector, we divide the vector c by its magnitude. So unit vector is basically minus 2 I cap plus 4 j cap minus 2 k cap divided by 2 root 6, right? Which simplifies to minus 1 by root 6 I cap plus 2 by root 6 j cap minus 1 by root 6 k cap, right? This is the required unit vector perpendicular to the both a vector at plus b vector and a vector minus b vector, right? So you can note that there are two perpendicular directions to any plane. Thus, another unit vector perpendicular to a vector plus b vector and a vector minus b vector will be is equal to a vector minus b vector cross a vector plus b vector, which after solving we will get 1 upon root 6 I cap minus 2 upon root 6 j cap plus 1 upon root 6 k cap, right? Okay, got it? Now let's look at example NCERT section 10.6.3 example 24. We are given 3 points, point A, 111, point B, 123 and point C, 231. The question asks us to find out the area of the triangle formed by these points, right? So think about how can we use vector algebra to solve this, right? We will use the formula for the area of the triangle given by the half of the magnitude of cross product of the two sides, right? So area will be half into magnitude of AB vector cross AC vector, right? Where AB and AC are the vectors from A to B and A to C, right? So let's see how can we find. We have AB vector as 1 minus 1 vector, subtract coordinates of A from B. So 1 minus 1, 2 minus 1 and 3 minus 1, which gives us 0, 1, 2. So AB vector will be equal to 0 I cap plus 1 j cap plus 2 k cap, or simply you can say j cap plus 2 k cap. For AC, subtract A from C, which is 2 minus 1, 3 minus 1 and 1 minus 1, which is 1, 2, 0. So AC vector will be equal to 1 I cap plus 2 j cap plus 0 k cap, or I cap plus 2 j cap, right? These vectors represents two sides of the triangle. So the area of the given triangle is basically 1 by 2 into magnitude of AB vector cross AC vector, right? Area of triangle is 1 by 2 magnitude of AB vector cross AC vector. Now AB vector cross AC vector is equal to magnitude of I cap, j cap, k cap, 0, 1, 2 and 1, 2, 0, which after solving we will get minus 4 I cap plus 2 j cap minus k cap, right? Therefore, magnitude of AB vector cross AC vector will be equal to root over 16 plus 4 plus 1 is equal to root 21. Thus, the required area will be 1 by 2 square root of 21, right? Required area will be 1 by 2 square root of 21, right? Got it? Hope it's clear to all. So let's see next part. Next is NCERT section 10.6.3 example 25. We are asked to find the area of parallelogram formed by the two adjacent sides given as vectors. The first vector is A vector, which is 3 I cap plus j cap plus 4 k cap, and the second vector is B vector, which is I cap minus j cap plus k cap, right? You can remember I cap, j cap and k cap are the unit vectors along x, y and z axis. So the area of a parallelogram formed by the two vectors is given by the magnitude of their cross product. We will work through this step by step. So let's see how can we solve this. So this question asks us to find the area of a parallelogram formed by the two adjacent sides, right? And the sides are given. So the area of a parallelogram with A vector and B vector as its adjacent sides is given by magnitude of A vector cross B vector, right? Okay. So A vector cross B vector will be equal to determinant of I cap, j cap, k cap, 3, 1, 4 and 1 minus 1, 1, which after solving we will get 5 I cap plus j cap minus 4 k cap, right? Therefore, magnitude of A vector cross B vector will be equal to root over 25 plus 1 plus 16, which is equal to root 42. Hence, the required area will be equal to root 42, right? Hence, we can say that the required area will be equal to root 42, right? To summarize, the required area of the parallelogram found by these two vectors is basically square root of 42. Okay. So thank you for your attention. Hope this lesson was helpful, right? Thank you so much.